Last chance to do sound. This is your last chance to do sound.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Bachelor recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello. We made it.
We did. Oh, how are you today? I forgot to ask.
Oh, I am well. Thank you.
Very well.
Yes. How are you?
You're gonna. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, good. Good to hear. Good to hear.
I feel like we're just like, let's get to the recap. So, housekeeping. We're only going to say today that we have a special announcement, but it's going to be at the end of this recap.
Yeah, you got to suffer through.
And we also have a special surprise, which will also be at the end of this recap.
Yes.
So pretty much there's no housekeeping except to ask you, to implore you, if you have not already, to like and subscribe. Yeah. Do all the things. Hit the like button right here. We're doing everything in reverse today, basically.
Yeah, that's the way people have told us to do it.
Yeah.
But we haven't listened.
And I have to admit, when I'm on YouTube, when someone says that at the top of the episode, I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, I haven't done that. And I probably wasn't going to until I was
And when they say it at the end of the episode, you've missed it, but you didn't get there.
I didn't even get close to getting there.
Yeah. We like to screw ourselves.
So we have a finale, a big finale, a 3-hour finale to get to, shall we?
And every minute of that finale is pure gold.
Yeah. Do we want to do overall thoughts?
I mean, if, you know.
It was slow.
Yeah, it was slow.
It was slow.
But oftentimes these finales are slow. But there's nothing left to talk about, and they're all sort of sick of it. They're just like, let's get to the end. You know, it's like when you have to pee all day and you're like 5 seconds away from the toilet.
Yeah.
And you just suddenly, you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to pee in my pants.
Yeah.
Like your body's like, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done with this. I don't care if the toilet's 5 seconds away, we're peeing here.
It's funny how you can hold it for so many hours, and yet when a toilet's inside, suddenly you're like, I can't hold it anymore.
Well, it's clear that your brain goes into a holding pee mode.
Yeah.
And once it knows the toilet's like very close by, it's like, we're done.
Yeah.
It's finished slightly before it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we can stop now.
Yeah.
We're going to shut off the holding pee brain situation.
Yeah. Oh my God, that actually worked. Nice.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get going with the grand finale. We had to admit, heading into this, we were excited.
Yeah.
Because
we were super. So you were like brimming.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything. You were bubbling.
Yeah, I was shamelessly stoked about this finale. It felt old school to me. I was like, well, that penultimate episode was so exciting.
I both knew nothing and knew exactly what was going to happen.
I think that I was sort of quieting down the voice in my head that was like, you know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like in boxing, when I watch a really big fight where I know who's going to win.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the marketing gets to me. Like for months and months, they're like marketing it up. And they're like, oh, no, I got a special weapon you're going to see. And the other guy's like, I don't know. He is pretty good. And then I'm like, okay, this guy's going to win.
Yeah.
But I knew the other guy was going to win. Then the other guy does win.
Yeah.
And I was fooled by the marketing.
Oh.
So I had the same feeling before this.
Yeah. Well, so first we get Ariel live. She comes out in a stunning gown. She's wearing white. It has this sort of like draped scarf detail, and her hair is half up. She looks stunning.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of a Grecian look. I do wish her hair had been all the way up. And that's why this is my second favorite look of the episode, but still, second favorite is pretty good. Okay, so Jesse applauds her poise, and we were like, yeah, poise.
Good poise.
He asks if she was surprised she was able to get there with Zach, and she admits she was, and I really believe her.
Oh, yeah.
And she claims that she didn't want to have sex in the fantasy suite either. I thought that was interesting that they showed this because it directly contradicted what they suggested with their own edit.
Of course.
Zach joins her now, and she jokes that she's sure he's just come off a 30-minute shower scene. It was cute. She says she looks back on the relationship with gratitude, but it hurt to see that he wasn't honest with her at the same time. She uses the word denigrated at one point, and the audience is like, whoa.
Yeah, denigrated.
She puts him in his place. He agrees with her. He should have told her, probably first, in fact. There was no excuse. He apologizes. She says that by taking sex off the table, he made the entire week about sex.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfectly put. He said he was only trying to make it less messy. He only made it more messy. He just agrees with her. Pretty much this whole episode is him just agreeing with everyone about the sex thing.
Yeah. I mean, this episode is usually the lead falling on his sword.
In some
The
fashion.
male lead.
Yeah.
It's a total whipping post.
Yeah.
These episodes.
Yes.
But in this case, he does deserve it.
Yes, we'll get there. I think he mostly deserves it.
Mostly.
Yeah.
They always go too far.
Yeah.
but he does deserve some
Well,
whipping.
he deserves it, I think, in really specific ways. And then in a broader scheme kind of way, I don't think it's all on him really, but in regards to Gabi, 100% on him. There's no excuse.
Guilty as charged.
Okay, he says he made an executive decision for everyone when he shouldn't have. And Ariel says that by him doing that, he took away her own agency and them coming to that decision together.
A good use of agency.
If he'd waited, he'd have known she was on the same page. Hell yes, I wrote. He agrees with her, says it was selfish of him. Ultimately, things end amicably, though. She says she's sure this is all very stressful for him. Okay, and I had to say before we move on from Ariel that I felt, and I hate to say this, I feel in the live segment, Ariel showed why they didn't crown her as Bachelorette.
Yeah, too composed.
She did not have enough tears. There was not enough fragility.
I think Ariel is more suited to a TED talk about The Bachelor.
Yeah, if we're going to gauge this on the bucket of tears, Ariel is in dead last.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are back in Thailand now with Zach's family. He catches them up on everything, tells them how great the women are. I'm going to try to breeze through this because if I'm totally honest, this was slow.
We actually just recently painted the walls. And you know what I did? I did this without you. I painted that wall completely by myself.
You waited till I taped it for you. And let's be honest, the taping of a paint job is as
deal.
much work as the painting.
Well, that's why I had you do it.
Yeah, but you just claimed that you just painted the wall entirely
yourself.
yourself.
I painted it all by myself.
Yeah, but
that's an accurate
work,
statement.
Yeah, but,
you taped. Okay. Taping is not painting, but taping is part of the process, and it's an important part. Yes. And you did an amazing job.
It's the prep. It's the unglamorous prep. Yep. Painting's fun.
Painting is fun. And I say no one in the world, I don't care if you're a professional, you've been painting professionally for 50 years, no one tapes better than you.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's an extreme OCD level.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is I did paint that wall. And I said to myself, you know what? And this paint dries pretty fast nowadays because it's water-based. In the old days, when I was a kid, it was oil-based, which was a mess.
Oh, really?
And it would just be wet for a day. And if you got it on anything, that was it. You
throw
that out. It's over.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
okay.
So now it's water-based, which is great. It's also less toxic. All good. Paint has come a long way since I was a kid. But I actually said, you know what? I'm going to watch paint dry. And I actually watched a wet part and I watched the glistening go away.
Yeah.
And I fully saw a patch of paint go from wet to dry. Uh-huh. And I will say 100% that was more entertaining than that segment.
I want to defend someone here, but I agree that I found this unbelievably slow and boring. But first, we'll get to Gabi because she has something to address here, rightfully so.
Yeah,
because the last time Gabi saw Zach, he was swinging by her hotel room to tell her that he would be telling people that he had had sex. Thank you for catching how funny that was because I was going to keep going. Uh-huh. But what we learned later on in this episode is that he didn't really make it clear to her that he was going to use her name.
No, he didn't.
Which is messed up.
She just found out.
She found out on live TV.
On live TV, she found out.
No, not on live TV. She found out watching on TV with everyone else.
Yeah, with everyone.
So first she sits down with him and she says that he seems to have some negativity around them doing that. Does he have regrets? And he says, no regrets.
You know what? Before we really get into whipping Zach, which we will later, I just want to give him this one shred of the benefit of the doubt. This reminds me of spatial disorientation, which is what happens to a pilot when they forget what way is up or down. I mean, that's a simplification, but it's often you're in fog or clouds and you just lose your orientation about up, down, left, right.
Okay.
And it's very dangerous. That's a lot of crashes are caused by that. Super scary.
Yeah.
But I think that Zach was so deep into the looking glass in this weird situation that he forgot how life works. He forgot the order of things and who's watching and who's hearing and when they hear and how they hear and how it affects them.
Yeah.
And I will say, first of all, he's a young man. He's got a lot of lessons to learn in life.
Yeah.
He's been thrust into a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
But I will say that I could imagine myself experiencing the spatial disorientation that I think he experienced, because I don't think Zach is the kind of person who does that kind of thing.
I agree.
I think that he was in the helicopter upside down in the fog and he thought up was down and he crashed.
We have to remember too that let's say he's in this test plane or whatever. The powers that be are purposely throwing things at him to make him lose.
Oh, yeah. They're
his
throwing
sense
him
of-
into like an F5 tornado
Yeah.
with fog and
Yeah.
heavy rain.
Yeah.
And
And
there's mountains everywhere.
Yeah, and they're purposely fogging up his windows.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so we just have to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, he says, no, I don't regret anything. He says he wouldn't take anything back. He says it's love, and he kisses her here, and she seems reassured enough to go meet his family. Yeah. We'll put a pin in that and circle back. She tells his family now that her own parents got engaged after a month and have been married for 32 years, making her perfect Bachelor material.
Oh, yeah.
And now she chats with his dad. She says family is everything to her. Thank God they're normal. She's great with his family.
Oh, yeah.
And his dad says, my relationship with Zach's mother isn't based on having good times. It's based on having terrible times, like when Zach was born. It's so cruel to take that out of context.
The all-time award-winning out of context.
Totally. This is actually a throwback to when he was telling Jess earlier in the season. She was like, tell me something you haven't told anyone. And he tells her that he was born. I forget what the name of the condition was.
Yeah, but it was serious.
Yeah, it was serious. Like he almost died.
Yeah.
And so this is a throwback to that. And Gabi handles this really well. She says all the right
She's good
things.
with parents.
She's amazing with parents. They both are, actually.
Yeah.
Zach chats with his mom. He says he can see himself getting on one knee. And then Gabi with his sisters. The gist here is that the sisters are protective, blah, blah, blah. We have to mention that one of his sisters seems like she really doesn't want to be there. And it's very funny to watch.
And it's okay. I respect that.
Oh, totally. She's like, I have better things to do
Yeah.
in Thailand. Gabi and Zach now talk. She says she can see a life together more than ever before. And she is in love with him. She's officially in love with him.
Officially.
Yeah, she's made
it's
it.
official. Dun, 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 bum, 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 bum.
Very good. Very good. I am in love with you. He says she doesn't know how good that feels to hear. They make out and then he sends her on her way. Mm-hmm. And now it's Katie's turn. The gist is that she is in her head. It's been a rough few weeks. She's spiraled after he told her that he had sex with Gabi. Yeah. Kaity is also very good with his family.
The parents are pretty psyched here. They're like, no matter what happens, we're good.
Yeah, I think that's what, and I appreciate about his family that there was no real hard ass. You know what I mean? There was no one that was like, what are you going to do? Like, there's no one.
No,
who
they weren't playing into it. I bet producers were like, you sure you don't want to ask him about this?
Yeah.
No, it was just all nice.
They were like, we trust him.
Yeah, it's good. I like to see it. I don't need to see the drama.
I guess, yeah, but I will say it did not make for a scintillating
No, that's
segment.
true.
Yeah.
That is true. Maybe I do need to see the drama.
Very cute conversation between Kaity and Zach's mom. Kaity says she feels safe and secure with Zach, and his mother asks how she's dealing with there still being someone else. And Kaity starts to break down here, which makes his mom melt. Yeah. And it was cute. His mom went into mom mode and really comforted her here.
Sweet.
Kaity now talks to his dad. He says his wife is his best friend. That's what he wants for Zach and Zach's partner. What are her thoughts on that? And you can see where Zach gets his, I'm just looking for my best friend narrative. She says that she didn't have a father she could look up to. She starts to cry here. He says he wasn't raised with a great father he could look up to either. He says the lack of having that has turned out to be his greatest strength. I thought this was a nice takeaway. Nice. Yeah. He asks if she loves Zach. She says yes. And in her iTeam, she says she can see him being a dad to her, and it feels great to be able to say that.
Oh, that's nice.
It was nice. Finally, Kaity and Zach talk. She says his family was amazing. She feels like she could fit right in. She seems to start to cry again. She's really, it feels like Katie's sort of at the end of her rope.
She's at the very end, the knot.
Yeah, the knot. She says she is in love with him.
Dun, 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 dun.
I am in love with you. They make out, he sends her off, and now we see a Shark Tank commercial. And Andy, you said here that there should be a show called Shark Tank. And I was like, Shark Tank? And you had to explain to me what a shart is.
Yeah, that was cute that you didn't know. A shart's pretty gross.
Do you want to define it for any Shandies who don't?
I think no one needs it defined.
Okay.
Except you.
So that to me sounds like an adolescent boy word.
It is, but it's also a thing that happens.
Okay, now it's time for the final dates. Or what did he call it later? He calls it the last chance date. I like that.
The last chance date. I like that.
Yeah.
There should be a song like that.
Oh, yeah?
Last chance. Wait.
It would be minor.
Oh. Last chance date. This is, wait. Last chance date.
Nice.
This is the last chance date. This is your last chance to tell Zach you love him.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah. To me, that's a minor song. It has
definitely
to be.
minor.
Yeah.
It's
It sounds more
sad.
urgent.
It's sad and it's scary.
Okay. So they go hiking. Oh, Katie. It's Katie's last chance date.
Yeah.
They go hiking through a national park. Looks beautiful. They swim by a waterfall. Lots of making out. And suddenly it's the evening.
Yeah.
We see almost
happened.
nothing of the day
There
portion.
probably was just a lot of like frolicking in the waterfall.
Yeah. And probably too much to suggest that he's picking her.
Yes.
Because they show a lot of the evening, which has more of a more ominous tone to it. And I feel like the day portion was more positive, and they're like, oh, we don't want to show that.
Can I be honest with you? I think that in a lot of seasons, there's a part where the lead totally slips. Like he's having too much to drink, and it's just they're having a great time. They're in some beautiful place, wrapped with each other.
Yeah.
He says, like, I'm picking you, right? I mean, I just want you to know that. And then and they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Slow down. Cut.
Yeah.
Stop that. But I think that happened. I honestly think that happened with Katie.
I have to imagine, or if it's not just them literally saying, I'm picking you, it's like, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's literally them saying, you're getting picked, but it's something very obvious.
Yes.
Where they're just
agree.
like,
yeah, you would want to make it obvious. You want to put them at ease.
if I was with you down to the end and I felt with you the way I felt with you when I met you not on The Bachelor, I would 100% give you a nudge. You would like, just so you know, like this is
Yeah, what
over.
you're doing is you're placing that person who you intend to propose to above all the powers that be, who are really controlling your every movement. But you would still, it's like slipping someone a note in class.
And let's be honest, who's really hurt in that situation? As long as it's towards the very end when it's just two people left, who's really hurt? I mean, all the production has to do is be like, we're cutting that. Don't say that again.
I actually think you're super right about this. I think there's a very good chance that Katie, he had given her signals that it was definitely her. The same way later on when Gabi's going into the proposal site, she's like, I think if it were me, I would know.
Yes.
And I think Katie, without being expressly told, she knows.
She knows.
Yeah.
She knew. There was something the way she even came out. Well, we'll get to that. For those of you who don't know what happened yet.
We did get a few DMs from people saying that they're remaining unspoiled until they listen to our recap.
So we have to now not spoil people in our that's flattering, I guess. So basically our show is now the show for some people. So we just gave the ending away of The Bachelor.
Should we act everything out?
Yeah.
So Andy, ever since I was little, I would get excited if I saw my name on something.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Your name's Andy. It's so common.
Hey.
I just mean like if I went on a trip with my family or something and in the souvenir shop there were like keychains with all these names on it, you never saw my name. At best, I would see it spelled Charlene. The novelty never wears off of seeing my name on a bottle of Prose hair products that were formulated for me.
For you.
For me.
For your needs.
Yeah, based on an online questionnaire I took about my hair and where I live. So that it takes into account the climate, the humidity, the hardness of the water, all these things that can affect your hair. And let's be honest, hair care should be bespoke.
I feel like when I use Prose products, it's like my childhood imaginary friends, except my friends are now shampoo and conditioner. And they're like, hey, Andy, I got what you need.
Yeah.
Come over here and pour me on your head and rub it around. It'll be good. I know you will.
Okay, but for real, Prose, they create custom hair care for you based on where you live, what kind of hair you have, curly, straight, fine, thick, coarse. You live in New York, you live in Seattle. Like there's a difference.
Yeah.
We know because we travel a lot. We'll spend 5-6 weeks in a different place. Let me tell you, you could feel a difference. You feel it on your skin. You feel it in your hair.
The hardness of the water
Yes.
and the humidity of the air makes a world of difference.
Yes, drastic.
In my skin and my hair.
Prose takes that into account when formulating your custom shampoos, conditioners, other products. I've got to say there has yet to be a product of theirs that my hair has not loved. And if you're not 100% positive that Prose is the best hair care you've ever had, they will take it back, no questions asked.
Not even, why would you do this to us?
We put your name on the bottle.
Yeah. It's your shampoo.
So Prose is the key to achieving all of your hair goals this year.
Take your free in-depth hair consultation and get 15% off your first order today.
Go to prose.com/Shandy. That's prose.com/Shandy for your free in-depth hair consultation and 15% off. So Andy, what have you got over there?
I have a Daily Harvest kale and sweet potato flatbread.
Doesn't that sound delicious?
It sounds and is delicious because I have supped on it.
It's also healthy and tastes fresh, even though it's frozen. And that's because they flash freeze these ultra fresh ingredients. They basically grow from the ground and then they're like frozen.
It's frozen before the thing even knows what happened. Yeah, the flatbread's just like, oh, what a nice life.
Meanwhile, I've got the cocoa nib and vanilla bites, which I'm obsessed with because everyone knows I have a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And look at this. You keep them in the freezer and you just let them thaw and then you can have this nice, it's like a cookie, but healthy.
No one doesn't like a healthy cookie. And can we talk about how healthy the ingredients are?
I know,
I mean,
it's
look
insane.
at this. Read that. Go ahead. You read it.
Sweet potato, red cabbage, kale, cauliflower, spinach, and coriander.
You get all that in a tasty meal that's frozen but doesn't taste frozen and you can make in 2 seconds. Come on.
And how many things that satisfy your cookie craving are going to have chickpea, coconut, cacao, kabocha, maca, and vanilla bean?
I kept saying for years, I've said, why is there not more kabocha in my diet?
Okay, so taste aside, great. Health aside, which we know it's super healthy. On top of all that, we have to talk about convenience. Can you think of anything more convenient than having all of this stuff just ready to go sitting in your freezer? It's delivered to your door frozen. And so there are days where you don't want to cook or you're working or you don't have ingredients in the house to cook. And you're like, thank God I have that flatbread in the freezer.
Yeah. And what a step up from your typical frozen dinner.
Oh, man. They've come a long way. Oof. So let Daily Harvest do more so you can do less. Go to dailyharvest.com/Shandy to get up to $40 off your first box.
That's dailyharvest.com/Shandy for up to $40 off your first box. That's dailyharvest.com/Shandy.
Okay, so it's the evening. All of a sudden, they basically talk about how tough this is. Kaity says she's gotten to know Gabi. She's an unreal girl. She probably shouldn't be bringing that up. I thought this was so cute.
Oh, they are good friends, you can tell.
Yeah. And she says that he has a really tough decision to make. She says the week before, it felt like a step back and she was so in her head. And he talks a lot here. He says stuff in response, but he doesn't really say much at all. If I'm honest. And Andy, here you said, this whole thing feels like a screenwriter has been told that they have to write a romantic screenplay, but they're not allowed to hit backspace or make revisions. And they have to write 50 words a minute. And for every word they miss per minute, you have to add an or a like.
Stand by that.
Yeah, that's how this conversation mostly felt, especially from Zach.
Yeah.
He was sort of giving her niceties.
Just filling space.
Yeah, filling space. Kaity says she's head over heels in love. Weirdly, they show the live audience sort of like chatting, and it was kind of a weird moment
It's live.
to show.
They screw up all the time.
Oh,
and I don't blame them. I mean, it's hard to do this.
Yeah, there were a lot of screw ups.
Yeah, there's a lot of cameras, like they switch cameras at the wrong time.
Yeah.
It's just odd.
I mean, and the sound.
Well, we'll get to that.
I mean, yeah, you can be like, yeah, it's tough, but at the same time, it's ABC.
And it's primetime network TV.
I was kind of shocked. Yeah, it feels like they should have this down a bit better by now.
I think it's Murphy's Law. It's or chaos theory. Like everything, the best laid plans. I'm going to use a lot of tropes, but my point is things go wrong even when everything seems right.
Yeah.
Look at Space Shuttle. Do you know how many billions of dollars and how many thousands of people check space shuttle launches?
Oh.
I mean, they don't do them anymore. But it's like a whole city is working to make sure bad things don't happen. And then some bad thing happens.
Yeah. I dated a guy once who would check planes. His job was to do the check.
Oh, God, so stressful.
Yeah, on planes before they would take off. And I was like,
every rivet.
Yeah,
every tiny little thing. Is one tiny little thing loose? Is it not perfectly tight? Is one thing off? Like, oh.
I could not handle that pressure.
I don't like thinking about the fact that any human does that.
Would you feel better about AI doing it?
I kind of want AI to do that.
Yeah, okay.
If AI is going to do something, I want them to do my plan.
Oh my God, that's actually a good point. I want AI to do almost nothing, but I would be okay with AI doing that.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I don't want AI to do my customer service, but I want them to do my plan.
Totally. Zach says there are a lot of feelings, a lot at stake. He fully feels his heart. He's taking it all in right now. It sounds kind of non-committal, and that's why I think they showed this.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the overriding feeling I got from this entire evening revealing conversation was that they are both exhausted.
Exhausted. They're done.
Yes. Emotionally, physically, they're done. They're tired.
They are the proverbial bladder that's 5 seconds away from the toilet.
Okay, so now it's Gabi's.
I guess.
I can't do it. I can't do that. I don't know how you
can
do
do
that.
it quietly, but it's a quiet. It's not a hard beat. This is a light beat. Last chance date. This is the last chance date. This is the last chance for Gabi to tell Zach she loves him.
Oh, nice. 80s.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and now there's no sound.
Yeah. Sweet relief.
We had a pretty good time here. I was singing Thailand background music.
Yeah.
Thailand background, what do I know? And you were doing the voices of them. It was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it was actually.
It was one of those moments where I should have set up a camera while we were watching the show.
I'd be remiss to not say that it was probably the most entertaining part of the episode.
They go horseback riding, and as we marveled at how could they let this happen?
How could they let this happen?
In the grand finale, Andy, you said, finger this, finger that, finger. This cuts to commercial mid-sentence. It seems Gabi's like in the middle of saying something.
Yeah, some guy in the control room was like, cut to commercial.
Do you think heads rolled for this?
A head rolled.
A lone head.
One head.
Okay. Do you think someone lost their job?
I think someone, if they didn't lose their job on the spot, someone made a mental note like they're losing their job in the next few weeks.
Or this is the final.
Last chance to do sound. This is your last chance to do sound.
Okay, we pick back up suddenly with horseback riding and sound, and Gabi in her ITM says that they get each other without having to get each other. They chat. Gabi brings up how Zach almost died as a baby, and he's like, oh, my dad told you that, huh? He says that he didn't realize the meaning of all that until he was older, but it gave him a new lease on life. Yeah. They agree life is scary, but you should try to enjoy it, not take it so seriously. Gabi says he's a gem, and it's scary to not think of having him as her gem. And she asks how he's feeling. And this is an interesting conversation that ensues. He says it's the biggest decision of their lives, but he feels calm about it. He says he knows this is not what she wants to hear, but he's so torn and isn't sure where he's going to be in 2 days. But he knows that the right thing is going to happen. This lands a little differently now that we've seen the whole episode.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking at the time that he really didn't know. But I think he did.
I think he did.
I mean, even what he admits later is that he knew on his
last chance date
with Kaity that he knew in that moment. And what they showed chronologically was his last chance. His
last chance date
with Kaity before his
last chance date
with Gabi. And it's possible that they aired it in a different order, but that's how it appeared. So there's already a discrepancy.
Yeah, I agree.
Gabi in her ITM says that she has a gut feeling that it's not her, and she's sick of not feeling like enough. And now it's the evening. She says to Zach, she says, for your first time, you did really good. And we were like, has he never ridden a horse before? Is that what that meant?
I guess so. We don't know.
We're piecing it together.
I mean, yeah, it feels like he was really good on the horse for a guy who's never ridden a horse. That's what my takeaway is.
It's like trying to do a puzzle without all the pieces.
I'm not surprised. Zach's got a little like Marlboro Man about him.
Oh, I mean, he's got the look.
Yeah. Or like a very sensitive Marlboro Man. Like if like in the town where all the Marlboro Men are, he's like kind of, they're like, I don't want to hang out. He's like, he's not a cool Marlboro Man.
Yeah, he's more of a squeaky clean, like goody two shoes, like has to confess to everyone when he's gone against his word about having sex, Marlboro Man.
Totally, exactly.
Yeah.
He's the Marlboro Man. He's like, hey guys, there's a really good variety show in town tonight. You want to go see it? And they're like,
And now when talking about the relationship, Zach says, just know I wouldn't be here right now going this far if I wasn't sure there was a future with us. I hope you know that.
Okay, this to me is...
This is where he went too far.
This is a foul. Mathematically,
yeah,
this means that he's going to be with her.
Yeah.
For forever.
When we heard this, we were like, okay, so you are sure there's a future with the two of you. To me, this is the feeling I'm getting, is that Zach would have sent Gabi home sooner if he were allowed to, had he been allowed to, and because he's so obedient. Zach is very obedient.
Yes, he is.
He, you know,
it's one of the reasons I picked him.
100%, yes. And I think that, it's been years since they've had two women make it to that final proposal site for the proposal, like made it to the very end. Oftentimes one gets sent home earlier out of courtesy.
Yeah.
You know, he goes to her room or whatever. So the final proposal is really just everyone knows who it is. And I think that they didn't want that to happen. And so they really put a ton of pressure on Zach to keep her around. But the problem is Gabi, she has a lot of anxiety, understandably, and a lot of self-doubt and all this stuff. She was constantly like poking around looking, you know what I mean? She wanted answers. She's like, what do you need to know who it is? Like, she's asking him a million questions. She's not just like, oh, we're going to enjoy the day and we'll see what happens.
She didn't let him off the hook.
No. And
most let him off the hook.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, I'll take that drivel.
Yeah. Zach says he's so torn. This is the first time in his life he doesn't have that decisive feeling.
He's such a decisive guy. I guess he really is the Marlboro Man.
Okay, so now we're back in the live. Jesse apologizes for the technical difficulties, assures us that we didn't miss anything.
Never have truer words been said.
Jesse says, you know who can provide insight is... We need a song. We need a Sean Lowe theme song.
It's Sean Lowe time. It's Sean Lowe time.
You need insight?
It's Sean Lowe time. It's Sean Lowe time.
How about guidance?
It's Sean Lowe time. It's Sean Lowe time.
I do appreciate at least how Jesse seems to realize the humor in this.
Yeah.
He's like, someone who can provide insight is... Like, he goes a little too far, which shows that he's in on it.
As a matter of fact, you know what? One of the things I did like about Chris Harrison was there was a little tongue-in-cheek. There was a wink-wink, very subtle. Mm-hmm. But Jesse steps it up one tiny notch, and I like that.
Me too.
There needs to be more wink-wink.
Yeah.
This is all ridiculous.
Okay, so Sean and Catherine now go to the hot seat. They're paraded out once again. Catherine empathizes with the women for probably the 8th time. Sean says being in Zach's position is a lot of, oh, crap. Jesse asks Sean if he thought Zach would be able to stick with his no sex rule. And we agreed here, Andy, that this is also strange. You said, Andy, the commercialization of sex. They're literally talking about a man putting his penis inside a woman's vagina.
It's a little weird. It's not appropriate.
No.
I think. Is it? I mean... Yeah, I'm clutching pearls.
We now get the usual recap of their happy life, how much they love their kids. Jesse calls them a shining example of love. I think that they are lovely as a couple, but there comes a point where I think your success rate is so bad that you should not draw attention to your one shining example.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? True. It starts to work against you. If you just keep coming back to the same shining example, it's sort of like,
yeah, totally.
Now you're highlighting the fact that you're not actually that successful.
Yeah, it's like eating at a restaurant where everything's pretty bad, but they did have this one dish that was really famous that they took off the menu for some reason.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, guess what we have today? Our one good dish.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, why isn't everything like this?
Totally.
And they're like, well, you know.
Well, what would happen is they would take that off the menu and you would stop going. Why do restaurants do that?
No, it's the only restaurant in town, though.
Okay, so now we are back in Thailand. Zach meets Jesse to look at rings because apparently Neil Lane had better things to do.
It was done.
It feels like the canary in the coal mine for this show.
Totally. They're like, Neil Lane, we got the finale. He's like, I got a thing.
He's like, what country is it in? Oh, I've been to Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand. I got a bar mitzvah I got to go to.
So now we have lots and lots of B-roll of everyone all dolled up and looking very serious. I had to point out this funny B-roll moment where Zach is being filmed like leaving his room, like he's going to the proposal site. But they left that lock thing on his door.
The bolt thing.
Yeah, the bolt thing that would keep your door from closing.
Right.
They left that there. So clearly they just shot this a couple of times. It was pretty funny. Okay, so now Gabi, we have to talk about her dress.
Ooh, girl.
She's wearing an almost neon. It's super bright. I'll say bright yellow. It's not neon, but it's getting there. Yeah. It's great. Oof. Favorite look of the week right here.
That's a universal look. There was no nuance there. For me, right away, I was like, that's it.
It had that high cowl neck and then that open back with that braid down the middle. The one thing I do wish is that slinky nature had gone all the way down in the back, but I think that they had to accommodate for her mic pack.
Yeah.
So I didn't love the fit in the lower back area, but I'm being really picky.
Wow, that's nitpicky.
Yeah, I mean, people want to know.
Yeah. All right. No, that's fine.
Her styling was great. Gabi really understands the slick center part situation.
Yeah,
she's
she rocks that hard.
Yeah, she's like, everyone knows I've got great hair. I don't need to show my great hair every time I leave the house.
Yeah.
Like in this case, it's about the dress. We have to talk about her hilarious reaction to being let out into this sort of muddy sand area.
That was her star moment. Just the delivery of that. She almost knew 100% sure she was going to get broken up with.
What's interesting about that is she said, when you bring Kaity out.
Yeah.
This subtext there is, I know I'm first. I know I'm going home.
She was flipping the bird to the whole situation.
Yeah.
Everything. She was just like, you know what? I don't care. But I am pissed off that my shoe has got mud on it.
Yeah, and
now.
she's like, and my friend is going to have to deal with this too.
Yeah, and she was
right before she gets proposed to.
I'm so impressed. I would have been so in my head in that moment. I would have been so all thinking about Andy. Oh, you poor thing. Like, what are you going to do? I'm stressed out. I would have never thought about those details.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yes.
Gabi's really come on as a hero for me.
Totally. Jessie greets her and she says she thinks she knows what's about to happen. And the vibe is definitely not positive. In her voiceover, she says, I have a gut feeling. And I think if it were me, I would know it's me. And she says that she wants it so bad though, and has to put herself out there because, quote, what if it is me? Gabi's thought process throughout all of this is so relatable.
Yeah, she's so cerebral.
Yes.
Everything. It's not too much. You know, sometimes you can get overthinky. She's just the right amount of overthinking.
Yeah, she's heading into overthinky land, but I
in
relate in a
way.
relatable way.
In a relatable way, yeah.
In a way that probably gets in her own way sometimes, but she's
it makes
also
her human.
Yeah, and she's also self-aware enough to know that it does get in her own way,
Yes.
so she's trying not to do the very thing that she knows gets in her own way. In Zach's speech now, there's the usual niceties, but all we really need to focus on here is the but. And she says, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And he says, you deserve a man who's going to pick you every day. And she's like, please stop. And she says she knew it was coming. She only doesn't know why he didn't tell her when he knew. And he insists he only just realized last night.
Just realized. The Bachelorette fairy came and told him.
What I love here is that she says, you've known.
She's right.
You know what Gabi was here? She was all of us if we were in that situation.
She was looking at the chessboard from above. She wasn't on the ground.
Yes. And she was speaking for every single person who watches the show and is like, why aren't they saying this?
Yeah.
But it's also nicely balanced with, to the haters who would be like, well, doesn't she know what show she's on? She also will say, I know what I got myself into.
Right. She's aware of the game.
Yes.
And she still hates it.
It's very meta watching someone like her. Anyway, she says Kaity's a really special person. She hopes she makes him happy and she wishes him the best and goes off. We were impressed. There's nothing to criticize here.
No.
Okay, so now Gabi opens up in the car. She says that was humiliating. She's been strung along all that time and for what? And what pisses her off the most was that she knew. So, quote, when your gut speaks, you should listen to it. I stuck around thinking maybe it's just all the things you fear, all the things you hate about yourself. Maybe it's not your gut. No, your gut's always right.
Your gut is always right. 2
So
million
relatable.
years of evolution. Your gut is telling your mind what to do.
The words could have been coming out of my own mouth, honestly. The idea that, you have a gut feeling about something, but you also know that you have a tendency to get in your own way and to doubt yourself and you probably have imposter syndrome and you just question how things could work out for you in that way.
Yeah.
And so those two things are battling each other.
I think your body, like millions of years of evolution, is telling you what to do, but your mind is overruling it. And then your body is kind of checking your mind. And it's this vicious cycle of like, which one do I trust? And you start overthinking everything. People with great instincts, they always say people have great instincts.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thought thing. I think it's taking your brain out of the equation. I think it's just having an incredibly good gut and following your gut.
Yeah. It makes you wonder if someone like Gabi is more evolved.
Well, what I think is, this is my theory about how the human race ends, the demise of us, is I think our brains will evolve too far. And I think our brains will evolve to the point where the overthinking is so extreme that we're not really able to exist in animal form on Earth anymore.
Ooh.
And it affects reproduction, and it affects like how we treat each other and how we survive.
Well,
and
already you can see the decline of birth rates because people are starting to think to the point where
Too
like, well,
much
actually,
thinking.
I don't want to take that on. Like, I don't need to carry on my genes. I would rather just live a comfortable life.
Exactly. Too much thinking. The brain was not meant to keep evolving. The brain evolved just enough so that we could stand up, look over the grass, see like some animal, hunt it well with a group and communicate and say, hey, you throw your spear here, you throw your spear there. That
we
was
were
it.
not meant to develop AI.
No, everything past like the wheel was overkill.
Yeah.
So now it's ridiculous. Now it's like people's brains are on overdrive to the point where they're going to destroy themselves one way or another, whether it be from dropping reproduction rates or nuclear accident or destroying the environment.
I think it's the environment. I think the environment's going to ruin us way before our brains evolve to that point.
But that's the environment is a
100%.
result of our, you think like someone in like the 1600s, you think society in the 1600s could have screwed up the environment the way we're doing it?
No, totally. High intelligence to get to the point where you could affect the environment to that degree. I mean, it's insane what we've been capable of doing, like the damage we've been capable of, combined with the selfishness.
Yes.
The short-sighted selfishness, the inconvenience of changing your ways.
and the narcissism, the self-absorption.
Yes.
Like animals weren't supposed to ever be that self-absorbed. We're supposed to act as a unit. You don't want to know a successful species? Dinosaurs.
Do you want to talk about 65?
I mean, 65 is a terrible movie.
We just
you should
saw
go
it.
see it. It's just terrible. It's so
bad.
terrible. You should see it. I'm telling you, it's one of those movies.
Yeah.
It's
It's
terribly
so bad that it's
bad and
bordering on good.
But I will say this. If it hadn't been for a 7-mile wide asteroid traveling at 40,000 miles an hour, the dinosaurs would still be hanging out and doing great. Why? Because they didn't evolve mentally. They just evolved with size. They didn't need brains, and they were unbelievably successful. And who is to judge that success as being less good than our success? They were around for 250 million years. We started Homo sapiens 200,000 years ago. What's 250 million divided by 200,000? It's more than 1,000.
I think you've made your point.
Okay, I'll stop.
Gabi now says that she feels unlovable, which is sad. And this fades out to her in the hot seat in the live segment. We have to talk about her dress.
Yeah, it's a very hot suit.
Fabulous dress. She had big shoulder pads. This was a power dress with that plunging neckline, and she had her hair slicked back. I mean, she looks amazing. To Jessie, she says that she had hope going into that day because she never thought someone who said they were falling in love with her would make her go through that. We have to remember, Zach said last week that he was falling in love with her in the after the sex thing. He's like, I'm falling in love with you. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt in many ways, but he really made some awful mistakes and they all seem to land on her.
Yeah, everything. Gabi took the brunt of everything.
Gabi says the thought of someone you care about slipping through your fingers. And we had a big discussion here because we're like, fingers?
Two problems. One is it's plural and it
Yes.
had to be singular. And two is nothing in the live segment was counted. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, very good, Andy.
Nice try.
They talk about the fantasy suite now, and she says that they made the decision to sleep together.
As most people do.
And it was extremely violating that the entire nation now knows everything. She got so screwed here.
Oh, yeah. Charlene, guess what I have in my hands here?
I have an idea.
What I'm holding in the very tippy tips of my thumb and forefinger.
Because it's so light and small.
I have what ordinarily would be a giant, burdensomely heavy plastic jug of laundry detergent.
Yeah. And that jug would be 90% water. So think about all the fuel used to ship that around the country.
And let's not forget, 91% of those jugs never get recycled.
Yes. Actually, I was reading about this, about how people can be recycling optimists. Like, I bet you more than 9% of the people who buy those jugs intended to recycle them.
Of course.
It's just that only 9% of them actually did get recycled.
Yeah.
And that's kind of messed up. That's waste upon waste upon waste. And you know what's sad is that it's a necessity. Like, we all need to clean our clothes. And that's why we love us some Earth Breeze.
Look at this.
Yeah.
I've been holding this the whole time. I don't notice that there's something in my hands.
Earth Breeze Eco Sheets. We love these. This is laundry detergent right here. It's honestly, the novelty has not worn off.
This is 60 loads of wash right here. And literally the breeze in the apartment is moving this.
And best of all is that they work. That, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, there's this eco-friendly alternative, but then you try it and you're like, oh, but actually, I hate to say this, I really prefer the thing that wasn't eco-friendly because it works better. This works every bit as well as the laundry detergent. It cleans both in hot and cold water. I also love that there's no measuring or mess. Like you just throw it in. You throw in one, you throw in two, depending on the size of your load. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, there's no sacrifice.
And I love how Earth Breeze's Eco Sheets are vegan and cruelty-free. And even the packaging is plastic-free, compostable, and biodegradable.
And I have to bring this up, as always. I have sensitive skin.
You do.
Very sensitive skin.
Yeah.
I'm a sensitive person, and my skin represents that. And as you know, I get rashes from a lot of detergents you use.
This has been a problem for us in the past, for real.
Yeah. Guess what I don't get rashes from?
And actually, you were nervous when Earth Breeze first came across the Dear Shandy desk. We were like, okay, well, we think this is awesome, but we want to try it first because if we didn't love it, we wouldn't advertise it. And the big concern was how are Andy's rash is going to handle that.
I wasn't rashy.
In conclusion, not rashy. So now is the time to try Earth Breeze because right now, our listeners, the Shandys, can subscribe and save a whopping 40%.
Go to earthbreeze.com/Shandy to get started.
Again, that's Earthbreeze, EARTHBREEZE.com/Shandy to save 40%. Earthbreeze.com/Shandy. So Zach arrives now, and Andy, you did an impression of him being some animal in chains as he arrived. You want to explain this?
Bring him out. It's like, no.
Gabi says she's sad, still hurting. She says he had said he had her back and she felt so protected by him. And now she reveals that in the fantasy suite, I guess the next morning, he kissed her on the back of the head, or maybe, I don't know, at some point, and said, this is just between us. That's so messed up.
Ooh, that's sick. That's almost like, it's like, I'm not sure.
It makes me uncomfortable. Like, I want to try and like see the humanity in it and see why he made the decisions he made. Because this felt sinister.
Let's not take it that far, but I think a lot of it's just, him stepping in it by accident. But this is a repetitive thing we've seen with Zach.
Yeah, he doesn't think 2 steps ahead. It's like when I kiss her on the back of the head and say that it's just between us, it's like, so then later on that same day, you don't swing by her room and tell her that you're now telling people.
I think
and use her name.
I think this is going to be a good learning experience.
Oh my God. She says that when he came to her hotel room, she was blindsided. She knew he was trying to be honest and think of everyone's feelings, and she could see his point of view. She was very generous by saying that. But she wishes, though, that she had been warned that he was going to use her name and not just say, I had sex with someone, which is so true. I hadn't even thought of that at the time.
No.
But she's got a great point.
Great point.
Like, leave a little bit up to the imagination.
No, it was very specific. It was like almost like a court proceeding.
Yeah.
Like he was the court stenographer.
Yeah.
He was like, at 10:31 p.m., I inserted my penis into Gabi. And she appreciated it very much based on her response.
She says that she didn't know he had told everyone until she watched it on TV. And she wishes that he'd just sent her home then. She says she gets it, sex sells, but now she's become a narrative. I mean, she really knocks this out of the park.
Yeah.
Ooh, this goes on for a while. And Zach is just sitting there silently, looking kind of guilty.
I honestly, though, I have to say, like, as far as someone who's in a squirmy position, he doesn't seem to be squirming that much. I'd expect almost a little more squirm. He was almost just like...
I was expecting more tears and more running hands through hair.
Yeah, Zach's an interesting guy.
He is.
He's more interesting than I thought. I've said this before. I don't say it all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of guys I'd like to have a few drinks with.
Yeah,
and Zach is one of them.
Yeah, I agree. Just to sort of see what's up.
Under the hood. What is under that hood?
What is under that hood?
Because is it for Zachy? Or is it some guy no one knows? Is it not any of the faces he's shown? Is it like, whoa, who is this guy? That was all an act.
I agree. I felt him watching her here and how he needed to be nudged to respond. Yeah. Finally, Jesse's like, this is a live show. We're tight on time. Zach, I'll give you the opportunity to step in here.
Yeah.
As though there hadn't been many pauses. Like, it's not like Gabi was just running her mouth or anything.
He was just observing.
Yeah.
He was almost just like, I'm good. Like, I understand that a bad thing happened, but I'm not really rattled.
He didn't seem rattled anyway.
It was interesting.
He's hard to read at times.
Very hard.
So Zach says he wrongly felt he needed everyone to know he went against his word, and he apologizes. He pretty much just says that she's right and he apologizes. But Andy, here you said, quote, selfish, sloppy, clueless, disrespectful, naive, immature. Of course he's going to apologize, but he missed the opportunity to disparage himself. Mm-hmm. Instead, he once again described why he did it.
It was almost like making an excuse for himself. He's like, the reason I did this is because I have so much Catholic guilt or whatever he wants to call it. And he made it about like sort of redeeming himself in a way, as opposed to just completely falling on his sword. This should have been like a swan dive from like the top of the Empire State Building onto a sword.
The sword, yes. I really think the worst thing any human can do to another human is make them doubt their own intuition.
Yeah.
I've said this before on the podcast and other episodes, not Bachelor recaps, I don't think. But I feel very strongly about that because it's been done to me. And to me, that is sinister.
It's use that word. Sinister.
Yeah, I think that to cover your own ass, you're going to let someone doubt the core of who they are. It's just such a dark thing to do to someone.
It's a little twisted.
And I understand that he is contractually obliged to lead her on. I understand that. It's what it shows is that this game is kind of messed up.
Spatial disorientation. That's what I'm chalking up half of it to.
That's where it ends, by the way.
That's it.
It's sort of unfinished. It doesn't feel like they hug it out. It doesn't feel like it kind of felt like Gabi had more things she wanted to say, and suddenly we're at commercial, and then that's it. They ran out of time.
That's it. I mean, look, America's got Gabi's back here.
Oh, as they should, yes.
So,
but there are people, I've heard that people are somehow blaming her.
No.
Yes.
That's absurd.
There are people who claim that she tried to seduce him after he said he didn't want to have sex.
Oh,
and that if the genders had been reversed, we would be condemning that guy.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Look,
my God.
I love condemning. It's one of my favorite pastimes. She deserves none of that.
No, it's unbelievable to me.
People. There's always some people who do those things.
Yeah.
There's always. Nothing you can do will not have those people come out of the woodwork en masse. If you get big enough, there will always be those people.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's Kaity's turn to get proposed to. She says she didn't think it could be her experiencing a big love you only read about in books and see in movies. And she teases his hello, which was cute. Yeah. And she says, if it's not him, it's not anyone. Zach says he loves her with all his heart. He wants to go through life with her. He proposes and she says yes. And in their ITM, they look at the rock on her finger and she goes, Andy, you want to do a demo?
Very nice.
See, I'm not sure that it was a Borat reference.
She did a Borat.
I'm not sure.
I am 100% sure it was a Borat.
I'll insert it right here. We can all listen.
Very nice.
Everyone can tell us whether we think this is Borat or not.
Full Borat.
I think she's just saying very nice with a funny voice.
Even if she didn't purposely say, I'm about to do a Borat, she instinctively did it because it's become part of pop culture.
Okay, so they ride off in a boat together, which fades into the live, and Zach seems to almost have a hard time openly smiling. I think he still is feeling residual guilt.
Absolutely.
I mean, this transition is rough.
It's brutal.
So it's like Gabi's in the seat. He joins her in the seat. Then she leaves. He's still in the seat. And then Kaity comes and joins him in the seat. And they're all happy together. Looking back, I'm like, why is he not smiling more? And now I'm like, yeah, he was right to not smile more.
He was trying to tone it down.
Yeah. So now Kaity arrives and immediately kisses him, dispelling any rumors people had heard to the contrary. I mean, some of the rumors I had seen were outrageous.
But outrageous rumors are the ones you believe.
Totally.
Which, why would you spread a rumor that's so outrageous?
Yes.
The Richard Gere gerbils up his ass is a classic example. He never did that. There's no way Richard Gere ever stuffed gerbils up his ass. But somehow everyone on earth thinks that Richard Gere stuffed gerbils up his ass. And sadly, the man had a great acting career. Brilliant. He contributed to a lot of great causes. He's a great man, a very interesting person. But most people remember him for stuffing gerbils in his ass. Unbelievable.
So they're all lovey-dovey here, and Jesse now asks Zach when he knew. Just a cruel question.
When was the first episode?
Zach says during that last date with Kaity, he knew and realized it was always her. And we're like, didn't he just tell Gabi like 15 minutes ago that
Zach is just not good at this.
No, he's not keeping track.
His timelines are wrong.
Yeah, you know what it is? Because I think in real life, Zach is super honest, right?
Yeah.
I think he never tells a lie. He tells you exactly where he was, with whom, how he got home. Like every single detail is going to be true. So he's not used to having to lie. Yeah. But in this situation, he has to lie. And he's so bad at it that he gets them all mixed up.
Yeah. And it's, it reminds me of that riddle that I've never been able to solve. I know the answer once you tell me, but I always forget, where there's like two guards guarding something and one always tells the truth and one always lies.
Okay.
And you have one question to ask one of them to figure out which one's which. Zach feels like there's a fault in him. He always tells the truth.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a real problem. You can't always tell the truth.
Yeah.
As much as that seems like a noble way to live your life, it would be chaos. The world would descend into absolute chaos. You gotta sometimes lie.
Yeah.
And he's not good at lying. He can't stop telling the truth.
Well, and if you are going to lie, you really got to just keep track of your lies. And his web is so small. That's the thing. It's like if you're thinking of it as like a web of lies, this is a very simple web. It's just like there's only two people to keep track of here. I told Gabi that I realized the night before proposal day.
Yeah.
And then minutes later, that's just something he has to remember for himself.
It's a simple web. You're right. It's like one of those webs, you ever seen these experiments where they give spiders like different psychedelic drugs?
Oh my God, really?
And then they have them spin a web.
Okay.
And like a spider that usually spins like a super complex web will spin like a web that like a third grader did. It'll just be like 5 strands and it'll just be hanging on in the middle. I feel like that's the kind of web we're dealing with.
He's spinning the web of lies that a spider on psychedelics spins.
Who's super high, yeah.
And here's the thing, like he's sort of in between a rock and a hard place, because if you think about it, Kaity, who he's just proposed to or is now engaged to, doesn't want to be told that he came to that conclusion the night before he proposed. She wants to feel like it was always her.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But that said, I still feel like that's where you need to like get on the same page with her and be like, look, it always was you. But publicly, I'm going to say that I realized it the night before. But I'm telling you the truth right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's almost like he just says out in the open the thing that's true in that moment.
But that's the spatial disorientation portion. He just doesn't know which is up or down. He really doesn't know where he is half the time.
Okay, so their plan is to move in together in Austin in the summer, and tentative wedding plan is 2025.
Yeah, they already got the 2025 all set.
And now they touch on how the women all supported each other through this and how it was, the friendships are strong, that kind of thing. And Kaity jokes that they are trauma bonded, which I thought was sort of ruefully funny.
Yeah.
And very meta, actually, because she's sort of pointing out that it's a traumatic experience to go on this show while she's still on it.
Interesting. Yeah. There was a lot of meta stuff happening
in this whole season, actually. Yeah. Here, Andy, I asked if you thought the two of them would stay together, and you said decisively, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
Okay. And now overall, I mean, congratulations to the happy couple.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, this did not feel good, the end of this finale.
Well, there was too much of a victim.
Exactly. Usually the runner-up, like there's always someone who gets their heart broken. There's always a runner-up. But usually that runner-up isn't also so screwed in the way Gabi was.
Well, it also soured it for Kaity. In a way, Katie's also a victim because her celebratory parade was rained on.
Totally. It's one thing to lead her on and then break her heart. It's another thing. The sex thing really ruined that for me. It made it go to like, a dark place.
I will say this, though. Compared to how we felt before this season aired, when Zach was picked as Bachelor, to how we feel now, did you imagine it to be so nuanced and layered?
No, I did not.
So?
Overall, the season did exceed my expectations by a long shot.
Maybe the powers that be know what they're doing.
Okay, so Andy, do you want to stick with our tradition and go over our night one predictions?
Oh yeah, I don't remember what they were.
You knocked this out of the park, and I did not do very well.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, so we both had Greer in our first spot.
Okay. Fair.
In our second spot, we both had Catherine.
Okay.
In my third spot, I had Jess. In your third spot, you had Charity.
Oh.
In my fourth spot, I had Charity. In your first spot, you had Kaity.
Nice. Or should I say nice?
I love how you say that was different from the first one.
Can't tell the difference between nice and Borat nice anymore.
Here's where I kind of pull ahead, but not anywhere close enough. In my wild card, I had Ariel. And you had Jess.
Okay. Good for you.
Neither of us had Gabi. She really was the dark horse of the season.
Gabi was super dark horse.
Yeah.
And a lot of people said that.
Yeah.
How did they know?
What's funny is I remember distinctly watching that first conversation with Kaity on night one and being like, they don't say anything to each other.
No, they don't.
I don't know if I feel super differently now.
But maybe that's the way Zach bonds. It's like,
Yeah.
we're not saying anything and we both look really good. I think this is going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that they do seem to share something. And I mean, an Ontario girl won. That's a big deal.
Go
big
Ontario.
deal. Go Ontario.
Ontario has produced a lot of good stuff.
Okay, so now it's the preview for a charity season. Turns out her brother, Nehemiah, steps out of the limo. I was actually excited to see him because we loved her brother.
I wanted to see more of Nehemiah.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that he wouldn't put on a disguise and just pretend he was one of the guys.
They had to go hacky. It's shtick. But I would have liked to just see Nehemiah as Nehemiah.
Because I actually don't know if by the time these guys were filming, I'm trying to think of, no, they probably had already seen the hometown episode.
Yeah.
So they might have remembered him.
Yeah.
But God, I would have loved that.
If he just showed up.
Yeah, not in costume.
No,
He's
just
pretending
Nehemiah.
to be one of the guys. And did that for a while.
Did it for a while. We made it to Final Four. The sickest season ever of The Bachelor.
I mean, think about the intel that he could report back to her.
That would be, he should have just been a regular contestant and she should have just kept him going until his cover
They
was
should
blown.
have committed further to this.
They went shticky.
Yeah.
People are going to know. They're going to be like, this isn't a real guy.
Yeah, I think if anything, they could look at him and be like, you look kind of familiar, but I don't, like his appearance was pretty brief. I don't know if everyone would have been like, you're Charity's brother.
No.
They might have been like, you look kind of familiar, man. And he'd be like, no.
Yeah. Anyway, good.
I was also very into her dress and I wanted to
yeah.
see more of it. So, okay.
We're going to see some good looks next season.
That's true.
Some good looks.
Okay, so no A game, I don't think, Andy.
No.
No, okay. Certainly not Zach. Okay, so I think everyone now wants us to get to our Shandy word watch.
Big one.
It's a big day.
199 guesses.
Yeah, for zero finger.
Zero.
The only time was Gabi saying slipping through my fingers. It was in the live portion.
Yeah, in the tape portion, it
did
wasn't
not
even
count.
close.
No.
It wasn't even close.
And so our winner of a brand new Lowe, which is valued at $500, huge grand prize, is
Amanda Martin.
you are the grand prize winner. Congratulations. Yay. Please email us by this Friday at midnight to claim your prize. You must do this. Please do not forfeit this prize by not emailing us.
No, don't do it.
Okay, Andy, and that brings us to the end of this episode. So we have two things to discuss before we wrap. The first is our special announcement and then our special surprise.
Yes.
Which do you want to do first? We'll do the announcement first.
Yeah.
So our special announcement is by popular demand, we will be recapping Love is Blind Season 4 beginning Tuesday. So this regular recap spot that you know as being Tuesday, we're not really sure if it's going to be one episode per recap, two or whatever.
More, maybe even more.
Yeah, we're not sure. We're going to be honest, I've never finished a season of Love is Blind and Andy's never even seen an episode.
No.
So you're going to get us very virginal.
Tabula rasa. But this will be a test. So if we don't get a lot of people into it, we'll kick it to the curb.
Yeah. So if you like it, let us know, like, subscribe, all the things to show us that this is something you want us to keep doing. You guys want it, so we're giving it to you, and we're people pleasers.
We certainly are.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the special announcement. So Tuesday, don't miss out. And it's time for our special surprise, something that Andy's been preparing for you all today.
I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? I can open your eyes, take you wander by wander, over, sideways, and under, on a magic carpet ride, a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go, or say we're only dreaming.
A whole new world, a dazzling place I never knew. But when I'm way up here, it's crystal clear that now I'm in a whole new world with you.
Now I'm in a whole new world with you.
Unbelievable sights, indescribable feeling, soaring, tumbling, freewheeling through an endless diamond sky. A whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
100,000
Hold your breath, it
things to
gets
see.
better.
I'm like a shooting star. I've come so far. I can't go back to where I
whole
used
new
to be. Every turn a
world
surprise.
with new horizons
Every
to
moment, red
pursue.
letter.
I'll chase them anywhere. There's time to spare. Let me share this whole new world with you. A whole new world.
A whole new world.
That's where we'll be.
That's where we'll be.
A thrilling chase.
A wondrous place
For you and me. There, I know Disney songs.
Was that the I told you so?
That was a long, flamboyant I told you so.
He's actually very cute. Andy's been preparing that for a while.
It was a couple days.
Okay, if you enjoyed what you heard, not only today, but all season long, then you know what we will ask of you, which we already did at the top. We're going to do it again. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify,
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with us all season, Shandies, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye. Dear Shandy.